welcome to my 517 Follow Friday series. Today, I am chatting with Kendra Schneider from Takeout Takeout. Takeout Takeout aims to take the trash out of takeout by putting a new twist on an old idea. They provide reusable containers to restaurants and businesses and help facilitate collection and sanitation for reuse. Kendra, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today.
Thanks for having me.
So why don't we just start off with kind of like what motivated you to take this path and how did you create this business?
Well, I think like everybody else during the COVID pandemic, I got sucked into all the Netflix series and documentaries because
Hmm?
what else were we doing?
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I've always been conscious of my health and everything, so I got sucked into a lot of those, and then it kind of tied in with the earth health, like a plastic ocean down to earth, like what we're eating, how our trash is affecting us. And so I really started with that. And it's been an interesting path. My original idea is not what I'm doing now, but then I'm also might kind of revert back to that original idea. So
Okay.
it's been a journey.
All right. So have you had difficulty in getting different restaurants on board with this model and even just setting up collection sites, or have you gotten some good reception for that?
Okay, yes and no. I have a lot of interest,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a barrier that I was not aware of when I
Okay.
came up with this genius plan. So, under the Michigan, the FDA food code, Michigan adopted the 2009 food code. So, under that, reusable containers that are owned by a third party are not allowed.
Oh, okay.
So I've just been doing a beta test for the last year and networking, seeing because there are places in Michigan that are doing this. We're just not doing it in Lansing yet. And there's
Okay.
places across the country and in other countries. So it's possible. So I'm just really researching and reaching out to people to figure out how they overcame that and got approved by the health department.
Interesting. Okay, I wouldn't even have thought of that. Um, so can you share a little bit about like what's the process from start to finish? So you get established with a business and they're going to use your products. So how does that begin? You take the products to them and then walk me through that.
Okay, so for the business side of things, they will reach out to us and say that they're interested in participating in our program. The plan is to do an initial inventory assessment to kind of guesstimate how much containers they will need. And then from there, we'll just have a fluctuation in price point,
Okay.
and depending on what kind of services that they require. And then, yeah, once their customers order on their platform, it'll be an option on the menu or at checkout. Not entirely sure yet if they would like to add reusable containers to their order. And then we'll
Okay.
then collect the customer information for purposes of picking up and if they don't return the container.
Right.
And yeah,
Okay. So
basically.
then is it the customer or the consumer's responsibility afterwards to either return the container or have it collected? Is that how it works?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And then the products that you're offering right now, are they just replacing like typical plastic and styrofoam, or are there certain cardboard type products that we're trying to get rid of? I don't even know if I'm supposed to do this, but normally like if we order pizza and the box is clean, like I will throw that in my recycling bin versus the trash, but I don't know if it's supposed to go there. So are we trying to like cut down on like pizza boxes too?
Um, I understand what you mean with pizza boxes because they do say no grease allowed in that recycling bin.
Mhm.
But usually when I order from Blaze, like I said, that bottom's pretty clean, so I
Yeah,
also throw it in. But I've also heard tips of, you can still recycle the top half if your bottom half is really greasy.
that's a good idea. I hadn't even thought about the grease side of it. I was just thinking in general. Okay. So, but mainly your products are replacing like typical plastic, typical styrofoam, like the traditional
Yeah,
little closing containers.
the
Okay.
clamshells, the soup containers, and I know some people have got compostable ones and some of them are
Yeah.
still in paper, but sadly we do not have industrial compost pickup. So it still ends up in the landfill, which isn't helping our cause, and we're still using up resources to create more and more and more.
Right. Okay. So back to the collection process a little bit. I noticed on your website that you have businesses that serve as collection sites. So is
Mhm.
that where the consumer can go to designated places and that's where they can return them instead of having them collected from them?
Yes, that's correct. In the grand scheme of things, I would like to have multiple collection points, including office buildings. Like I know a lot of people are still work at home, but when we are in office, people go out to lunch. We get
Yeah.
stuff to go. And sometimes it might stay in your office refrigerator for a day. You might eat the
Yeah.
leftovers, and to have a collection bin in the lobby would be great. So
Makes
you don't have
sense.
to go anywhere again.
Yeah. Okay. I like that idea. I mean, especially if you've got, so like, I'm thinking about state of Michigan, you got that whole campus downtown where
Yeah.
people go out a lot and get lunch and come back. So it's a
Hmm.
great idea. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I, I I told you I was going to mention this before we started and just uh acknowledge that I don't know nearly enough about climate crisis and everything that's going on. Obviously, I know that it's a problem and we recycle and we do what we can, but there's so much that I don't know. Um, especially from that perspective of looking at sustainable solutions like what you're offering. So from your perspective, what kind of impact does this type of business model have if we were more widely using it in the Lansing area? Do you have any information that you can share that might motivate people?
Yeah, well, actually, within the last year, like I've said, I've been kind of beta testing with some volunteers through Abundance Cafe, and they only cook once a week. And so, just with that, we have saved over 2,100 single-use items from landfills. And that's a big number. Just imagine what
Yeah.
we could do with more people on board.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah,
So, and that's just one place
one place,
that
once a
cooks
week,
once a week.
not even
Wow.
including the holidays that are taken off. And
Right.
then, as we saw during COVID, there were so many supply chain issues. So if we have like multiple locations, like kind of regionalized, we
Yeah.
could fix a whole supply chain problem if we keep
Hmm.
all the containers in Lansing that are used local.
Right. Okay. So, other than this, did you say it was an FDA
The
law?
FDA food code, yes, it's
Not
updated
my
every
area.
4 years. It's not my area either, but it's
Yeah.
becoming my area.
Okay. So other than that, what other types of barriers do you feel like you're facing right now that are getting in the way of making a bigger impact with this?
Another big barrier, even though people are receptive of the idea, I'm still up against the status quo and what we're
Yeah.
used to doing. It's going to be introducing slightly new habits, but I'm
Mhm.
trying to make it as easy as possible
Right.
so people
Okay.
don't feel like they have more on their plate.
That can be really hard to overcome. Um, and I don't know if it's harder for smaller businesses or bigger businesses. You've got to kind of retrain, like you said, build some new habits for staff and management. And people don't necessarily like change. So I can imagine
Yeah.
that is a difficult barrier. Okay. Do you see any areas for growth or opportunities that uh, you might consider expanding beyond what you're doing now? So if this takes off um, and this is working, are there other products that you've thought about expanding into?
I have, and that's what I meant at the beginning of this podcast is kind of reverting back to my original idea because I originally wanted a zero waste restaurant, but
Okay.
I realized that was a lot to take on. So I was like, how about I'll start by partnering with other restaurants and just do one simple switch. I won't have to worry about recipes or any of that other nonsense. But since this is also taking a while, um, it's not quite a zero waste restaurant, but I do want to have a cooking series of how to reduce waste in your own home. And I want to like talk about it in four different categories. Like reducing your food miles by shopping locally, using less energy when cooking, going to places like Horrocks or the East Side Co-op and bring your own jars and refill,
Yeah.
reduce that packaging. And
Mhm.
then what I've been experimenting in my house this week is cooking with scraps. The
Okay.
stuff that normally gets thrown out, but
Mhm.
it's kind of like a ode to the original struggle meals of the day. So I actually have watermelon rind pickles fermenting in my cabinet right now.
Wow. Okay.
So I'm hoping to start conversations around that just because I know we all don't eat out every day and there are some stuff we can do in our home, but everything I've been through has been like a major learning curve.
Mhm.
And I can understand what if people don't dedicate all their time to it.
Yeah. I'm still hung up on the watermelon rind pickles. I'm not a pickle person to begin with, but have you tried them yet? Are they going to be sweet or are they going to be um pickly?
So I've made three different variations. One I did last year. It was kind of like the more American sugary version with cinnamon and cloves. Um,
Okay.
that first round, I added too much clove to the point where it numbed my mouth, but my daughter loved it. And so this round went a lot better. I did a Japanese inspired one with like soy sauce, sesame oil, and ginger. And the one that's fermenting has Indian spices like jaggery, Kashmiri powder, hing, which I had to figure out what the heck that was and go because it's like I eat Indian, but I've never like cooked with Indian
Right.
spices. So
Interesting. Okay. So if you're not fermenting everything, pickling everything, do you generally just compost at home?
yeah, I do. And luckily during my journey when I felt like I had to do everything on my own to save the world, I really wanted to compost, but luckily there's somebody it's oh gosh, is it I hope it's East Side Compost. I think that's what they called it. But so yeah, he comes like every other week and he picks up the food scraps that I do not use and it gets composted.
Nice. Okay. All right. Um, this has been very, very interesting. And I
Good.
feel like I'm gonna go Google some stuff and figure out what more we can do beyond just recycling. Um, is there anything else you want to share today?
Um well, like you mentioned, I kind of do have a secret. It's not official now as of September 26th, but like you said, when this airs, months from now, it might be official. So I'll just say there has been no signed contracts, but I am hoping to be in the Makata Club in 2024
Okay.
when people are possibly listening to this.
Okay. All right.
So
So
yeah.
excited for you. This is I feel like there's a lot we can do here to really help get this moving more for you. Um,
Mhm.
thank you so much for joining me today. I will put all of your contact information in the caption for the video. And then if you're watching and you happen to be a local restaurant or another business and you'd like to learn more about either using the products or maybe serving as a collection partner, you should definitely reach out to Kendra. And then if you're interested in being featured on my Fellow Friday series, you can send me an email at katrina@cornerstonelegalplc.com. Thanks for watching.